In today's video, we're going to talk about why you keep ending up in the same relationship patterns, and we're going to focus on this from a psychodynamic perspective. If this is something that interests you, then please stay tuned to find out more. Now, if you ask yourself, why do I constantly keep attracting the same partners? Why do I constantly end up finding myself in dysfunctional relationships? Now, this isn't because you're not intelligent. This is actually an unconscious pattern of behavior. When we look at these patterns of relationships from a psychodynamic perspective, these patterns often have very deep emotional roots. Now, psychodynamic theory talks about the fact that a lot of the things that we do actually come from the unconscious. And early relationships, especially with our parents, shape our internal world. And what this means is that they essentially form the template of what love is supposed to feel like, of what connection looks like and feels like, and also what we believe that we actually deserve. So later in life, we may feel an unexpected pull towards people who feel familiar, even if these people are not good for us. Even if that familiarity we feel is actually painful and dysfunctional. Now, there is a concept in psychodynamic thinking which is called repetition compulsion. And this is essentially a tendency to unconsciously recreate early emotional experiences. Not because we want to make ourselves suffer, but mostly because we want to actually resolve something that was unfinished in our past. We want to maybe gain control over what once felt really uncomfortable. Or because we finally want to receive the love that we didn't get. So if you grew up in a home where it was really hard for you to get your parents' love, your parents' approval, you will find yourself unconsciously attracted to emotionally absent partners, to emotionally unpredictable partners. Or, if you have suffered from parental narcissistic abuse, you will then be attracted to narcissistic partners. And somewhere inside yourself, when you find yourself in this relationship, there will be an element of hope. You will probably tell yourself, maybe this time it will be different. Maybe this time I can change this person. Maybe this time I'll really be loved. Now, if you did grow up in a narcissistic family, you will be used to walking on eggshells. You will be used to over-attuning to others. You will be used to earning connection through self-abandonment, through people-pleasing. So, of course, this would lead to relationships where you do people-please, where you prioritize other people's needs over your own, where you end up with an emotionally immature partner or an emotionally shut-down partner. So this will feel familiar, known, comfortable, but it doesn't mean that this is you healing. This means that you're just stuck in the past, trying to recreate what it was that you had in order to fix it. And you're not going to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. You're not going to be able to change somebody. And this is where awareness is really important. It's also important to mention that in your early life experiences with your parents, you will have internalized all of the things that you learn in that environment. So you may have internalized your parents' criticism and you will have a very cruel inner critic. You will be very dismissive of your needs. And this inner dynamic often mirrors itself externally in relationships. So it's also not just about who you choose, but it's also about the relationship that you have with yourself. If you have low self-worth, you are only going to attract somebody that mirrors that low self-worth. So you may have low self-worth, which means that for this reason you will also attract partners that are not good enough for you because you don't feel that you deserve a good enough partner. Having a positive image of yourself, feeling confident in yourself, having self-respect are really important things in a healthy relationship. But when you've not had that growing up, how on earth are you supposed to know what it feels like to have that confidence and self-respect? You don't know what it feels like to be in a relationship that's healthy. Any other relationship that possibly is healthy may feel really boring to you, really scary, just too unfamiliar. Now, having awareness alone is not enough to necessarily break this pattern of attracting unhealthy or unavailable partners. The problem is that all of these experiences that you had early on in life now live in your nervous system. They are embodied, and you have an attachment style already. And your sense of safety was compromised when you were younger. So this is also something that you are still struggling with. So even when something is unhealthy, even if there are red flags, you don't necessarily see these red flags because they actually feel normal. They feel familiar to you, and therefore you just ignore them. Now, how do we change these relationship patterns? Well, yes, it starts with awareness, but it also starts with small changes. Practicing how you talk to yourself, practicing how you stand up for yourself, looking at whether you feel respected by your partner, cared for, loved, prioritized at times, making sure that you're not overextending yourself, making sure that you're not in a relationship where your partner's needs always come first. Making sure that you aren't belittled and criticized all the time. It's noticing all of these patterns and bringing them into a session with your therapist or your coach in order to understand where you are going wrong and what needs to shift, what needs to change. Gently questioning what feels familiar and actually stepping out of your comfort zone and maybe trying to give somebody a chance that doesn't necessarily feel familiar. So when you are new in the dating scene again and you're meeting people, give the people a chance that you wouldn't usually go for. Give the people a chance that, may seem a bit boring at first. I'm not saying that you choose someone that you're not attracted to, but give it time. Spend a lot of time with someone, become friends with someone, and maybe the romantic feelings will develop. And also make sure that you keep checking in with someone safe, someone who can actually say to you, well, yeah, that sounds all right. But most importantly, you have to be honest with yourself. Don't ignore the red flags. If you are needy, if you are desperate to be loved, this will make you more vulnerable. And most people who grew up in dysfunctional family homes or had neglectful parents or abusive parents, they will be desperate to be loved and be cared for. So they will constantly be vulnerable when they're meeting people, and they will probably fall for people that love bomb them at the beginning. Don't go for a partner who promises you the world in the first week or two that you meet them. Take it slow, get to know them, have boundaries that are stronger. Give yourself the time that you need to really get to know them, to feel safe. If you recognize yourself in this video, please know that you are not broken. Change is possible. It's important to understand that you adapted. You had to adapt in order to survive when you were a child. But now you are safe enough to slowly change those adaptations, to slowly shift these patterns of behavior by having awareness, by self-reflecting, by talking about these things with someone that you trust, with someone who understands how complex these dynamics can be. With the right support and with the right amount of time, you can change the repetition compulsion of your past and slowly give yourself a relationship that is healthy, that is loving, and that is supportive. If this video was helpful to you, please feel free to share in the comments below. If you have any questions, then please feel free to email me at courageisallyounneed@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening today, as always, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.